everyone, and welcome back to Merry Married Meeples. I am the bride.
And I am the groom.
And we've thought, with it being October and Halloween coming up, that we'd just sit down and talk about some of those games that are out there that have like a spooky theme to it. Whether it be supernatural, monsters, and what have you. So, welcome to our discussions.
But first, to recent plays.
Yes, which we have done. Hence, recent plays. Well, for some of the games that we've played recently, Cascadia, Walk in the Park, Merchant Cove. But I'm going to shoot it on over to the groom, Brad, and let him give you a small little overview of the game. And then we'll tell you our thoughts.
So we'll start with Cascadia. Cascadia is a tableau map building one in front of you. You're going to start off with 3 hexes. There's going to be a pool in the middle of the table that has a hex and a little round token that has an animal on it. And the hex is going to have different terrains. You're going to grab a pair, bring them down, put in your little world map you're building, put the token on one of the map tiles. There's different scoring mechanics. That's about all I'm going to say about it. It's a pretty popular game right now. Definitely won the Spiel des Jahres. So, thoughts?
I liked it. I liked playing the tiles down. I liked matching everything up and seeing how big I could make the area.
So I was pleasantly surprised with her playthrough of this. Seeing the playthroughs and reading the rules, I thought it was really going to kind of bog her down with her AP that she suffers with, because there's a different scoring for every animal. I think there's 5 or 6 animals, so you might try and maximize the points. And she blew through it. I don't know if it's because we were playing it with a stranger that we don't normally do. We had played this at a event locally called Meeples Swing, so that may have had something to do with it. But I also found it quite enjoyable. It is kind of almost multiplayer solitaire. The other people could draft your stuff, but you really are focused on your board. I barely ever looked at what anyone else was building, so that was Cascadia.
The only thing that I didn't like, I really liked the game. The one thing I did not like, though, is the matching up the terrain. You don't have to match up the terrain, but from playing past games, you find yourself doing that.
Yeah, limiting yourself to it, imposing a harder rule on yourself.
Yes, which you don't have to do.
All right, next up we'll go to A Walk in the Park. This was a recent Kickstarter acquisition from Grail Games. They came out with a game called The Gardens. This is a roll and write that offshooted from that. You're going to be rolling a die, and it'll show a little, either a path, how to draw it, an angle path, a straight path, or an ibis, which is a type of bird, for those non-aviary people out there. And on your map, you will be drawing these paths to try and connect landmarks and such that were in the gardens down in Australia, or like the Sydney Opera House, to your main part, which will give you bonuses. And then if you make little circles, you'll have statues, and the ibises will block paths. But it's just this little quick filler roll and write. Really cool. I enjoy it. I've found myself enjoying roll and writes more and more lately, and this is just a quick, simple little one that plays in like 15-20 minutes tops, and it's just very simple doing paths. So it is definitely one of the lighter roll and writes out there, but still with a little meat on its bone.
I was, I really wasn't that huge of a fan of it. I will admit, I kind of messed up the rules a little bit, so that could have been a little reason why I didn't like it, or was on it. I think I made it a little harder than it was.
Harder yet easier, but it was a weird thing. Basically, she didn't realize that once you drew a path on one of the squares, you couldn't draw another path on it. So she was able to get to certain monuments quicker, but she also wasn't necessarily having as many paths. So it was like helping her, but hindering her at the same time. But yeah, it's definitely one that we'll definitely get to the table again. Should be worth saying that these three that we're talking about today, these are our first impressions. We've played one game of them, so you're getting basically, we haven't necessarily delved into the specifics of them. That being said, we're going to come to the last one, which is Merchant's Cove, and this is one that definitely rewards multiple plays. Merchant's Cove is a asymmetric game. Each person takes on a role, and those roles each play differently. However, the crux of the game is the same. Each person is making goods, either small or large, of 4 different colors, as these boats are coming in with meeples, and you're going to be selling these goods to them. But how you go about that is different. For example, in our play, I played the Alchemist, which all revolved around marbles and putting them into bottles and making elixirs and ichors and various things, whereas I played the Blacksmith, which was dice rolling, manipulating the dice, moving around my board, and making weapons. So we each got to play our own itty bitty mini game while focusing on the main part of the main game. So far I like this one. I did look at a couple of the other ones that come in the box, because 4 come in the box, I believe it is. And one of them does seem fairly complex when we go to play it. But so like I said, this is one that we can definitely see it more as it's going. But I can see the appeal, because it will help get bigger game groups who are like, well, I want to play this type of game. I want to play this type of game together. Because it's like, all right, well, here, you play your game. And then here, you play your game. And then I'll play my game. And we're all together. So what was your thoughts on it?
I liked it. And I say that a lot. I liked the collecting the potions and trading those in and getting the meeples and the elixirs and the everything. Yeah. I mean, I'm.
And the production definitely helped with this game. The boats that the meeples come in are 3D boats that you're putting in. When you do your goods, it's not, I made this cube. They actually have
Little
standees that you put the stuff in, and you have a little shelf rack that you put them in. So the production value definitely helps immerse you in this game, where you're not feeling like, I turned this and this into this little cube of wood. It's like, no, look, I took these marbles and put them together, and now I have this actual bottle that I can put on a shelf. So that definitely helps.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've delayed enough. I think it's time to get into
the spooky games.
But and we're going to start with the kids ones, I believe, correct?
Yes. So these aren't too spooky.
Think Hocus Pocus realm of, oh look, it's spooky, but in a fun way.
Yay.
But we'll get into that now. Kids, spooky games. Normally they don't go together. However, in the gaming universe, there are many a game that are spooky and kid-friendly. And today, we will focus on not 1, not 5, not even 7, but 3 of said games. First game is Ghost Fighting Treasure Huntings. And Hunters. And for that description of how this here game might work, we will go to this here person. Take it away.
Alright. So the object of this game is you are kids. Ta-da! Little kids that are going through a house trying to get treasure from the house. Trying to get the treasure from the houses that are haunted, or the rooms, I'm sorry. The rooms that are haunted. The problem is, if there are more than 3 ghosts in the room.
When you place the third ghost.
Yes, when you place the third ghost, it will become haunted. So that means they can't go in and they can't get that treasure. So they must bring a friend with them to defeat the ghost. Once they go in, defeat the ghosts and the haunting, then they take the treasures out of the house, and that is how you win. It's a cooperative game.
Okay.
What are you doing?
Having fun. Enjoying myself.
Okay.
So we got this game quite a few years ago when the Ute was even more of a Ute than they are now. And we played this quite a bit with them. It has your typical cooperative game mechanics of something small bad happening, then you have to prevent the bad from happening, but it does it in an easily manageable way. It doesn't really like smack you around often. I think it was very rare that we ever went in and just got our butts handed to us. It's usually a close game, so they don't feel too defeated. It's got that friendly little theme that kids are gonna like. Ooh, I get to be a kid. I'm gonna go beat up the ghosts. You know, because that's typically what like the scary movies for kids are made as, is little kids confronting the ghosts. So it's able to have that theme, and it really carries well. So, and this is a Mattel game, and they did really good production. If you couldn't have seen it, the kids' backpacks are actually where you can put the treasure, and then so you're carrying it around on you. So that was Ghost Fighting Treasure Hunters. We'll move from a cooperative game in this one to a combative game that can be played in most seasons, and that is Funkoverse.
Fighting. Cute.
And this is the Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas set. There also is a Universal's Monsters set. That is your black and white era monsters, Dracula, Frankenstein. What's really cool is those are actually done in black and white. They didn't colorize them. So, would you like to explain this one, or shall I take this?
I'll let you take this one.
All right, so this is a player versus player. It can be a 1v1, 2v1, 2v2 type of game. You each build a team of 3 Funko Pops, and there's multitudes of them out there. There's this one, there's Harry Potter, there's Golden Girls, there's Jaws, there's a Kool-Aid Man,
Alice in Wonderland.
So there's plenty of them. You take 3 people, there's a map that you can play on, and the maps that come in the places are always themed, so you can play in the Golden Girls house. And you can use weapons from the different things. So you could, in theory, have Jack Skellington fighting the Golden Girls house using cheesecake as a weapon. Yes. Fighting a team that has Jaws. That is what makes this game so much fun. But as we said, that you can put a spooky theme on it with this set. But you take your figures, you choose a scenario. Usually it's like maybe a King of the Hill or control zones. You fight. You get points based on certain parameters of knocking out your opponents or having areas. Whoever gets the highest point total first, or the designated point total first, wins. The reason why this is really good for the kids is obviously cute Funko figures. Funko Pops are everywhere in every genre, and they make everything just fun and lovable. I mean, they got big faces and big eyes. That's so cute. Cute but spooky. But that's why this isn't going to scare them, and the combat system is very simple. Line of sight is very simple. They streamlined a system that anyone can go. And they'll enjoy just mashing people up like, ooh, I have Jack Skellington, and I like Batman, and I want this other person. And then you just run through. And as I said, you can play, I'm pretty sure, 2 versus 1. So a parent could help like a younger child against an older child if they want. They kind of
even it out.
Yeah, even it out and give them those battle tactics.
Last one.
This is one you will have seen that we played on the channel.
Don't go in there.
So in this game, you are, for some reason, going in there even though we tell you not to. You'll be placing your workers in different locations, grabbing cursed items. Goal is to be the one with the least amount of haunting wins. A lot more to it, but if you really want to know and see how it kind of plays, visit that video on our channel. We will instead tell you what we think about it. Proceed.
I like the aspect of collecting the cards, of collecting the cursed items, if you will. You collect them. You put out your meeples. You collect them. You count up the points. It's either set collecting. You get a certain amount of cards, and you get these points, or you can, if you get a certain amount of cards, then you can get rid of points, and you're collecting ghosts, and you're getting rid of those ghosts. So it's constantly, you're constantly doing something. So that's why I like it.
So this is one of the few games that has cards, some cards in it that could be a take that mechanism that we actually enjoy. I think because it's a fun aspect of it, like passing the ghosts back and forth.
Yes.
But what's nice is you don't have to play with those. So if you want a friendlier game, you can choose the curses that go in it that aren't going to be so that aren't going to be so difficult to understand. So if you are playing with younger children, go with the easier managed curses. And if you are playing with the younger children, the art is the very cartoony, whereas an adult you look at and you're like, oh, I can see how that's kind of freaky. But the kids, like Haunted Mansion at Disney, the one mirror, it looks like that type of stuff where it's
Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, the Scooby-Doo stuff. It is kid friendly. It's not overly terrifying. It's got the bright colors. It's not dark or menacing or graphic. And it's done by Road to Infamy, who's known for doing cool things with their containers and their designs. Like this box is the dice tower that you'll roll the dice down into, as you will have seen in our video. That's going to be a hassle.
It is. Oh, there we go. Yep. There we go.
So as you see, it holds everything and becomes a dice tower.
There we go.
So that is our 3 choices for the kids' spooky games. We will be back after these advertisements to describe 3 of our more favorite, not necessarily our favorite, but 3 of our 3 choices. I guess we'll go.
Adult
Crowd out there.
game.
No, there will be no nudity. See you soon. Hey, Bri.
Hey, yeah.
Do you remember our friend, Pippi McDyston?
Why, yes. Yes, I do. I wonder what he's up to.
Apparently, he was sucked into a vortex and is now gallivanting across the board game worlds.
Wow. That sounds crazy.
I know, right? That is some messed up hullabaloo.
Is that what happened at the end of the Shelfie Stacker video?
Indeed it is. However, we have received footage of his latest adventure in Arcana Rising. So I'm hoping that we will receive more footage of as he travels through other board game worlds.
If you're interested in seeing his adventures, go ahead and look at our channel for Pippi's videos.
And if you want to read about what he's up to between those videos, go ahead and check out his Twitter page at Pippi McDyston. Have you ever looked at a game on a shelf or on a website?
Have you ever thought to yourself, that's a big or small box? I wonder what could possibly be inside such a box.
Well, wonder no more, dear friends. I am taking boxes off of our shelves and cracking them open to see what's in the box.
Well, what do you do when you look inside?
I film it and I share it with the world. Nay, the YouTube-verse. So, click on through the rest of our channel and see the what's in the boxes I have done. And click on the bell to be notified when the next one drops on Mondays, Wednesdays, and even on Fridays. Hope you sent your kids to bed. It's about to get crazy dark. Crazy dark. I mean, look at the mask. Crazy. Anyways. So
that
for the
ain't
first...
crazy. That's freaky.
Potato. Anyways, for our first darker, more adult-themed game, even though we play with the youth, but some might say she's a dark soul enough herself anyways, we will say the first game is the Night Cage from one Smirk and Dagger Games. And with a brief synopsis of said game, we will go to you.
We played this game. And We had gotten it not last year.
Yeah.
Was it last year at
Yes.
Gen Con?
We play tested it briefly at Gen Con, and then we pre-ordered it. We probably got it late last year.
So your candles, lighting the corridor to try and get out from a underground cavern.
I don't think they ever fully say you're in some form of prison, more than likely underground.
Yeah, you're in a prison. You're trying to get out. You are a candle, so you can only illuminate one square in front of you, behind you,
Left and right.
left and right. Yes. So the board is constantly changing. So when you put your candle here, then you put these tiles down. Well, then if you go this way, then this tile is no longer illuminated, so you move this and you take that off and you put another one here, and you're trying to collect the keys, and all of the prisoners that are there with you, you are trying to collect the keys, one key per prisoner, and then you need to find a gate. And you all need to converge on this gate to get out with said keys. And if you don't, then everyone knows what happens then. That's it.
Indeed. So, the reason we're saying this isn't necessarily for kids is it is very dark game. Not necessarily theme-wise. There are no bright colors. There's nothing to draw them in. And flipping over the tiles is a sense of dread. And there are monster tiles in here that do have a bit of a monster. They are monsters, but they definitely look scary. That where a younger kid, if they see them, they might have some nightmares about them. We're talking multiple mouths, eyes,
tentacles.
It's the crazy monsters that you would kind of expect to see in this subterranean prison where you're locked up in. So it definitely does have that dread to it, which is what makes it kind of a spooky game. But also that flipping over that tile. Is it going to be a monster? You're so close to the end. If you flip over this one tile, it's going to ruin everything. So it's just that moment of terror when you're doing it. And like she said, it's the whole not knowing where you came from. Because these tiles are illuminated when you move away, they go away. But if you move back, you replace them with new tiles. So it may have been a corridor before, but now it's a monster. And now you're getting attacked. Or now the path goes a different way.
A wall or...
So it definitely has that extra level of complexity where I don't think necessarily the majority of younger kids might grasp that. So you may basically be having to play for them at times. So it's complexity level and theme to me just don't really fit that younger crowd. Teen up. Like, teen up! It's definitely for that. Does it have an age on it?
Yes, 14 plus.
So like I said, it's to me it's a little bit more of the complexity and the thematic elements of it. I will say a nice touch is that for colorblind people, the candle meeples are all varying heights. So you can be like, look, you're the short candle, I'm the next highest candle, and you're the next highest candle. That way, if you are playing with someone colorblind, they're not impacted by the color of the candles. Oh, and the last thing I should say about this game, because this is important for people like us who typically play 2 players, you always play with 4 prisoners. So when we actually played this, like I said, with the youth, so what it is we each had a prisoner and then one rotated around. If you're playing this 2 players, you each play with 2 prisoners alternating turns. So that is something to know, is that is how it scales. It's not fewer prisoners. You still have 4 prisoners you have to get out. And it does play up to 5, but we'll never see that player count. No.
We're lucky we can get 3.
So, Night Cage. Next game up is a mamma jamma of a box. Oh. This is Mansions of Madness.
That just lends itself to spooky. Mansions of Madness.
So, you took the last one. You want to take this one?
Sure. So this is in the Cthulhu universe, isn't it?
Yep. H.P. Lovecraft, Cthulhu,
Yes.
Miskatonic.
So you're basically you have an app with this. You get to use an app, and the app will tell you as you are laying out different tiles, rooms, things like that. I believe the app tells you which.
Yeah, you choose a
sides.
scenario, and
Yes.
then that scenario will start you off with the rooms.
And that'll tell you what you're fighting or what the story is, what happened, what you need to do. And so you're essentially you're playing the game, but the app is also kind of telling you the story and unfolding it out for you to play. And it's cool because it's got the spooky sounds and it's got the store or the narrative and voices, and so yeah.
Yeah, it's nice because it is scenario based, so it's not like, oh, we play through this once, we're done. There's a beginning scenario that should only be like an hour, but then they have some scenarios that can go 4 to 8 to 12, so you could even make a day of it. Tons of expansions for it, and it's just that spooky Cthulhu vibe where there's cultists running around, there's monsters from different realms. It just that impending dread. We still have to play it, but there's one where you're actually on a ship and creatures are jumping out of the water and trying to take over the cruise ship and trying to get you. So there's all these cool elements of anywhere spooky that it could take place, it tries to do. And the app, it helps mitigate so much stuff. You don't have to keep track of what monsters where and what's their health and what did I do to this monster and where does that monster go. You have the app, and the app will be like, here, you do this, test this. You roll the dice, you say yes, or this is how many successes I had, and they tell you if you did it. I know that is a huge argumentative point about people, whether they like it or not. Us personally, we do enjoy it. I will say, sometimes doing the tiles, especially if you have too many tiles, can break up the pace of the game. Like if you're really, oh, I'm going, it's getting crazy, and that's like, now put out these 3 tiles, all right, and then you stop and you have to search for the tiles and make sure you orient them, right? But that's really a small gripe. But for the most part, it runs smooth, it goes quick, so
Depending on what scenario.
yeah. So Mansions of Madness. So because of the rule of 3, right? Rule of 3. That's the charm
Always,
thing with the witches. Rule
Yep,
3.
yep.
So we did 3 recent plays. We did 3 kids games. So now we'll do 3 adult games. And our third one for the adults. The Science and Seance Society. So I will say, and I apologize.
Try saying that 3 times fast.
I will apologize in advance. This game may be hard to get your hands on if you like the sound of it. It is from New Mill Studios. It is a very small publishing company. They don't go to retail. They may have it on their site. If not, offer me $1,000 and it's yours. Just kidding. Just kidding. Anyways, so again, this was a Kickstarter game. What drew me in, not necessarily the theme, but this is an asymmetric 2-player only game. So we like to play games 2 players. Cool. One person in here plays with dice. I like dice. One person plays with cards. Likes cards. So it seemed tailor-made. So basically what it is if you're playing science, you want science to win. Seance, you want seance to win. Science is rolling dice, putting them on these cards to build engines to be able to do different abilities, trying to get dice on a certain number of cards. The seance is playing cards down and rotating cards in front of them and doing abilities until they have all the white tops or all the black tops up or down, depending on what the science player says. You put your cards, and the science player might be like, you're going to do black on the bottom. So you have to rotate it to try and get all black on the bottom. So this is cool because, like I said, it's the dice, it's manipulating, you kind of build a small engine here and there. There's just that little thinky puzzly on each side, and then there's little small things you can do to counteract what your opponent's doing. Like the die person can put a die on their card so they can't flip it, but they can discard a card to get rid of it. So there is a little bit of take that or push and pull, but a lot of it is just how am I going to quickly get my stuff before they get theirs. I'm pretty sure you felt the same. So again, Science and Seance Society from New Mill Industries.
So thank you all so much for joining us for our discussion on spooky games for the young and the young at heart. Young at heart? Is that what you're here? So we do appreciate you watching. If you would like to see more of our discussions, more of our other videos, our unboxings, our playthroughs, please feel free to subscribe, like, ring-a-ding-a-ding that bell, and let us know what you think.
Ah!
Ah!
Until next time, we were the Merry Meeples, the groom.
The bride.
Peace!